Well, it's a nice day outside, sunny and warm. Got my stand up, my bogan stand, century stand they'll call them also in the business, with my 3-inch tape holder on it, and I got the 3-inch tape pulled out. So let me go ahead and re-angle, and we'll mix up some silver tip straight epoxy, straight mixed epoxy, 2-to-1 AB, and then we'll go ahead with our new toothbrush here. It's time to break out the big guns. And then cut out the area, use our little, we've got our 1.5-inch line off here that we'll use to edge the tape along with, so that, remember on that last one there, to keep it from going side to side, so it looks nice and straight along the edges. So let me go ahead and mix some epoxy up and reset up, and we'll start going again, and hopefully one of my video lights here will come on. Okay, we've got our epoxy mixed up. Go ahead and start wetting out where we're going to be putting the tape down. And we'll go down halfway through the seam on the transom. Go ahead and put a good layer down, but not so much that it's running down the hole. Just keep an eye on it so it doesn't get away from you. And have your plastic around to lay your stuff down on. And go ahead and place it on the seam. Right now we're concentrating on putting the lower edge along our pencil line, and keeping it nice and smooth. And then we'll come along and wet on top of it. I get this first section down nice and tight, and then it's not going to be pulling around on you as you brush along like it just did on me there. And then use your brush to either move the tape up or down to keep it on your line. Long, gentle strokes. Sometimes they call it selvage along the edge here, where it's folded over on itself so you don't have a rough edge like when you cut fiberglass, it gets ragged on you. The selvage will sometimes take on epoxy and stand proud. It'll give you a ridge. And sometimes it'll want to be dry. Also helps too to pull the tape away and get in behind it. Press it down. You'll have some areas along here that'll look dry for the moment, but don't get too concentrated on it. Just keep going on. If it's still dry after a minute, when you come back, then put some more epoxy on it. Usually there's enough epoxy floating around in the area that it migrates to those dry areas and wets them out. When all the area is gone, know it's done. Sometimes you'll get a little spot that's clear, and usually a clear spot, instead of looking like wood, will be a void in behind, and just put a little bit more epoxy on top of that, and then that'll fill in any little potholes that are underneath of it. So, am I still in? Yeah. Okay, let me get ahead of myself, and we'll come back later after I've got some more stuff done. I'm just going to follow along this seam on both sides, and then I'll do the down to the end, and I'll show you what I'm going to do down there, and then we'll come back and then do the keel on the last, so it covers up the seams on the front. Well, I've got it wetted out up to the all the way to the bow to hold the tape in place, and then I use my scissors to trim it in. I also had this moment a few minutes ago. I was like, I'm under a flyway from Seattle Tacoma International Airport, and every once in a while the airplanes come over. So this one night I hear this jet plane coming, and it was getting louder and louder, and I said, what is that? Is it getting ready to land on my property? And next thing I know, I see a shadow go over the doorway, and I run outside, and lo and behold, the Blue Angels came by the barn today, flew right over my property. And they are with afterburners on. They were very loud, so happy, well, I guess, you know, whatever. It's CPR weekend in Seattle, so they come in, so they're probably spending all their money on fuel before the government goes bankrupt. And I'm glad they spent it flying over me. So, okay. Just keep on going, mixing and taping, and pass along. Sometimes you'll have areas where the tape starts bunching up. So, but sometimes you can run your finger back and forth, and then get the weave to either open up or close up. You know, on the warp and the weave on the tape. And that'll keep you from having to carry a lot of excess or stretch the tape or have to put darts in it with the scissors. Also, depending on how much you mix up, I would, you know, it's warm out today, so I didn't mix that much. And the thing you have to remember, when the hotter it gets, the quicker this stuff cures. And the other problem is it starts trying to kick in the cup. If you don't get it out quick enough, it starts thickening up, and then it's a little harder to get it to flow into the fiberglass cloth and wet out underneath. It starts getting a little too stiff, which it's trying to do on me now. Now I've got it all wetted out down here, so I'll come back and do a little bit more of the tape placement. Some of my lines are a little faint because of sanding down the fillets. And then get it into the corner. Not quite in, but that'll be covered up by the other tape going up through the middle here. Warbled and chased down to the end here. You want to get it all down and in place, so when you come by and start wetting it out, that it's down and tight. Okay, we got a little bit of stand out here, so we'll go ahead and right in behind here and push it down. Sometimes it's better probably to get this upper seam first than the lower one, because the lower one is going to be the one that is, this one's moving along in a flat plane like this, which is less need to come in and out, whereas the bottom one going flat is going to have more of a chance to bunch. And so probably to get this upper one wetted down in place first. And then it's back just to the plain old pour and brush, pour and brush. I have on occasion, when I'm dealing with small stuff, I'm a little more delicate, I will put the tape or the glass cloth on a piece of clean visqueen, not this cruddy old crap, and wet it out there, and then move the wet tape or glass cloth to whatever I'm trying to mold up, and then it seems to stick a little bit better. It can be a little more messy at times, but it's one way to for the delicate stuff, so you're not banging it around trying to wet it out with the brush. Here we got our tape butted off square on the end again, and now let's just pour on the epoxy. I'm probably going to do the transom. Well, I don't know. I may do it in 3-inch. I was thinking it's narrow enough I could get 2-inch in there. Once you've chased it down into the bow here, I've already done a lot of pre-wetting. I'm going to push the tape, but also take your brush and push down on the glass to be sure that you haven't, if you're pushing up in here, that you haven't lifted anything down in below here. Just push it in, chase it down. I'm feeling it's going to get real ugly up in there. I may have to put some sort of baffle in here to hide the ugly. Just use your brush and get up in there and chase all the wrinkles around. Right now all the warp and the weave are getting chased up into the nose here. Okay, let's start with a straight edge here. Get up into the corner. I've already pre-wetted this out with the remains of the cup. And now I'm going to put a dart up and through. Overlap head for the bottom. Probably going to go ahead and cut that off. And another one right down the center line there. section and another curve up. Let me go mix up some material to wet this down and hold it in place before I continue on very far. And it'll be a little bit of epoxy this time, not a whole cup. You got this side here wetted out. Now I want to get down in here and get this piece in back wetted down to the transom. Get it good and wet it out and gone clear. I'm going to push in your other bit and keep watching this. Don't grip. This section down in here. And then use the back side of your toothbrush to push it in. These things can get kind of messy at times. No, don't tip over. Cut off that ear. Make sure you get the little pieces out, otherwise you'll rip it out. No. Starting to lift on you, pull some of the fabric down from above. In there. And now just kind of push it in and don't try to move the tape around. Just whoosh the epoxy into the glass until it goes clear. I'll keep a watch on that as it starts going green. If I need to come back and push it down with my fingertip, I will. Okay, that'll do it for this part. We'll come back after it's cured and I do something else, probably a little bit of rails on this too.